Hi, I'm Ben.
I'm Rowen. Sorry, I just did online teaching. I'm still on. Yes, we are Ben and Rowen. We are coming to you recorded from our balcony in Germany. And we realized today, you guys have no idea why we're here. So today's video, we are going to be covering why we're in Germany, the whole process, everything about Fulbright. Yes, okay, in September of 2023, I applied for the Fulbright English Teaching Assistant position. So you apply for that in September, and you don't hear until like April of the next year, maybe May or later. So we found out in, I don't know, early to mid 2024 that I was accepted. And so then we had to kind of get our lives in order to go across the pond and be in Germany for a year. So what is a Fulbright English Teaching Assistant position? So this is a position where you are placed at a school. It can be an elementary school, community college or university. And basically you are required to teach a maximum of 12 hours a week at a school. And the school is supposed to help you find housing and, sort everything out, help you with the, immigration office and stuff like that. And for doing this, you get a stipend, a housing allowance or subsidy of from Fulbright. So in total, you would get 1,100 euros a month.
And
mind you,
that's in Germany, right? It's different in different
yes,
places.
it is different in different places. But this was not enough for two people. There are other positions within Fulbright where you actually do receive money for your spouse, but unfortunately, the position I got and applied to was not one of them. So it did create some financial hardship because, we're also not allowed to work outside of it. So although I'm only allowed to work up to 12 hours a week, I don't receive any more or less money. But since I'm not allowed to work outside of this position, Ben was also not allowed to work.
And as a spouse, you are on the same visa as your partner, which means that you can be working online from the US, but you can't be working in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was not so great. If you don't have any TEFL training, you do receive some TEFL training with this position. You're supposed to do it in the summertime before you get here. And you also receive health insurance. Luckily for our situation, we did receive health insurance for the both of us.
But it wasn't actually like normal health insurance. It was just emergency coverage.
Yeah.
So like if you were traveling with travel insurance, similar deal.
Yeah. So don't get too excited about, nice dental care because that's not the case. Now we talk about our experience a little bit. We actually didn't find out where we were going to be in Germany until August, and we left in September. So cutting it quite close. We got really lucky with our housing, and that's not the case for everybody. Some people had to stay in, like, for example, the people in Berlin, I think they had an accommodation for the first 3 months and then had to find another one for the rest of the time. So it really depends where you are, like what the availability is. I do know some people who were in very rural towns and they had to stay like an hour outside of where their school was, just because there was no housing availability in the town that they worked in. But like I said, we got super lucky. We're actually living in an apartment that is a 10-minute walk from the school. So snowy days, early days, it was fine. I got there just fine. So that was really great. When it comes to cost, there was a lot of startup. We had to buy a bed. We bought bicycles to get around. We're in a fairly small town, so getting around with bicycles just fine. But we didn't have to pay for like a train pass or bus pass. So I think that was really good.
And you can buy things from the German Craigslist, which is called Kleinanzeigen.
Yeah.
And that'll help out a lot.
Yes, it really did. Um, yes, like I said already, you have to have a lot of savings. This is because when you first get here, you need to set up a bank account. You cannot receive your stipend unless you have a German bank account. Um, it's harder in some places. Like when we were in Tübingen, we could go to the local bank and they would make us an account without us already having our residence permit. This was not the case. However, this time I went to the same branch or the same, I don't know, bank that I did in Tübingen to go try to open a bank account. And they said, oh, you can't open it because you don't have your residence permit yet. Well, shoot, getting a residence permit is hard here. So I went to another bank and they were actually able to open up a bank account for US citizens without having a residency permit. Um, but it did take about 2.5 months to actually receive my stipend for like September, October, and November. So that meant that everything, the housing deposit, the rent, did have to be paid out of our savings.
And it's a very good thing that you found a bank that was willing to open an account without a residency permit, because we got our permit about a week before it expired.
Yes. So we got here mid-September. That's when the program started and went officially until June 30th. And I don't think we actually picked up our residency permit until that last week of June. So that's another issue is the immigration office. It's really hard to get an appointment, and if you get an appointment, everything moves quite slowly. So since we actually were I guess residents when we were students here for study abroad, there was a file on us already. So one of the biggest things that we had to wait for was for our file from Tübingen to come to the new place that we lived. And that took a while, and even then it was mostly a mess. We basically got an extension on our travel visa, and then finally, at the very end of the program, we got the residence permit that basically said that the whole time that we've been here, we've been residents.
And this took 8 appointments.
Yes. Yes, and it also took my school mentor calling them. Us writing emails and showing up was not enough. So having friends in higher positions, it's definitely helpful, but also kind of a sad reality. So
Yeah, we could not even get an appointment, just trying to make it online and emailing. We only got an appointment after Rowen's boss called and exerted his influence.
yes. So just know that you will have a headache with the immigration office when you come here. I don't think I heard of anybody having a seamless, smooth time going to the immigration office. So just be prepared for that. Coming here, I had a pretty high German level. So
and I did not.
Yeah.
And I think I would have had a much better experience here if I had discovered the language learning program, which I found a few months into our stay and started doing every day, called Pimsleur, which is very interactive and makes you talk and think about how to say things in different contexts, which I've done now for almost 6 months. So the greatest strength of Pimsleur is the comfort it gives you in oral communication. But it's also very good at making you think about how you're going to use different grammatical forms, and in bringing in new words every day and enriching your vocabulary, and also cementing the vocabulary that you already have, because you're constantly going back and bringing in different words that you learned maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, and reminding yourself what they are and conjugating them differently. Yeah, it's altogether very, very helpful, much better than any other classes or online programs I've used.
As German level really like went up. He was probably at A2 level, which is like
Low A2. Yeah. Yeah, and I struggled to understand people and I struggled with communication in many situations. Whereas now I mostly understand when people talk to me, unless they're speaking Swabish, in which case I understand a few things and I can communicate most of the time.
Yeah, I'd say with communication, solid B1. And we felt like having this German level was really helpful because then I don't know, you can go to the market and chat with the the stall keepers,
With the shopkeepers.
the shopkeepers, and yeah, I don't know, you know what's going on around you. Not that we should be eavesdropping all the time, but it's nice to know, hear things going on around you. And then also our social life. We spend a ridiculous amount of time at the gym here.
Normal,
A normal,
reasonable
okay.
amount of time.
Well, we're there multiple days a week. So we do spend a lot of our, social time at the gym, and having a little bit of German is good. We do speak mostly English there, but having German is really, really
We speak
helpful.
a combination.
Yes.
Which is very good because a lot of people speak good English, but there are also many who do not or are just not comfortable speaking English.
Yes.
So, like, it's limiting if your German is below a B1 level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I did not take any like in-person classes, German classes here. I guess I'll talk about my experience at the schools a little bit. Um,
Okay.
it was very different for me. I have never been inside a teacher's lounge before this day. Um, I'm also I felt like not that much older than the students, so it really was like a imposter syndrome moment where I'm like, oh gosh, I'm in the teacher's position. Like it was different, but it was I think a quick learning for that part. But a tip I'd give um, is to have clear expectations from your teachers. There were times where there was, I don't know, yeah, the expectations just weren't clear. And then it created some odd feelings with teachers. So I would definitely say that that is one of the main things to get down as the ETA is like have clear communication with your teacher, ask what they expect of you, ask if they want to see you before the class to talk about what you're going to be doing, or if you want to email and know like many days in advance. I did that was something I wasn't quite aware of going into it. And
It was very
yes,
open. It seemed like it was very open to interpretation what you were supposed to be doing, like how best to use your skills and your help.
yes, I think well, there was also some disconnect between the teachers. It seemed like I had technically two mentor teachers. One of them, has read all the rules to me. They know, 12 hours a week, blah blah blah. Um, and then the other mentor teacher I had basically said I was the cherry on top, right? Cherry on top. Very low expectations for me. I'm there. I'm helping with vocabulary. I'm helping with pronunciation. I'm helping with, simple grammar. Um, but yeah, this idea of me as the cherry on top was not communicated with the other teachers. And then other teachers were expecting quite a bit from me or just different things. So I think maybe if there were potentially some better communication between the teachers of what my position actually is, so that everybody just has a clear idea of the responsibilities and expectations of me. I don't think that was even grammatically correct right there. So why am I an English teacher? Um, it's hard when I'm talking so much. Probably one of my favorite tasks as an ETA was helping the 12th graders prep for their oral exams. I actually had a lot of fun doing that, walk around, listening to their conversations, listen to the variation in their vocabulary, and if they're actually, staying on topic. Um, and that was really, really cool because most of the topics that they talk about are US focused. So I feel like I can, speak to them a lot. Um,
So
so
this
that
is
was kind
something
of
you would
cool.
recommend people suggest to their bosses as a way to utilize their
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah. Is help with that. I mean, technically, my job was not to comment on content, but to comment on language use. And I could definitely do that. I was also helping the 11th graders kind of have a little, dip their toes into the oral exam. And it was just really fun to see the progression, I guess. Like, I could already tell from the first time we did it to the second time that, like, they were already getting more comfortable with the idea that they're going to have to be speaking for 10 minutes together. So, I don't know, that was a fun part of it. And tips for ETAs as well. Um, Host a club, suggest presentations. I found that the teachers really liked it when I came up with my own ideas. To add something into the class, I did a Christmas presentation for the fifth graders with different activities and singing, and that was a hit. So you can definitely be creative with it. And also, hosting a club is super fun. I always looked forward to the day that I had a American Cafe on. It was a club with seventh graders, and it was just a great time. Like, I have a lot of good memories from the club, so I definitely recommend doing something similar or just like that. Let's talk about the work-life balance. It was really awesome. Like I said, I'm only allowed to work up to 12 hours a week, so we had a lot of free time this last year, and I think we did some really awesome stuff in it. Um, First off, we're right next to the forest, and we love going into the forest and foraging. Or if you're me, you like to at least picnic in the forest and crochet while Ben does the foraging. Either way, it's super fun. And we have our bikes, so we're just able to bike everywhere, go to the lake, go to the forest, go to the gym, go on bike trips, which maybe you've seen. But it's just been a super wonderful time. And German schools also have a lot of days off. So we had a lot of vacation time as well. I don't know, 2 week, 1 week vacations just throughout the year. So that was super cool. Advice column. Fulbright ETA with spouse advice column. Have a lot of savings. I cannot stress that enough. Yes, have a savings.
And getting bikes made a big difference. Once again, Kleinanzeigen, really good resource.
Yeah.
And take language courses ahead of time. The better your German is, the better your experience is going to be.
Yes.
Hands down.
For sure. If you have any additional questions or
Comments,
of course, leave them down in the comments. We will answer them gladly. And also in our description of the video description, you will find our affiliate links for Pimsleur.
So you can do a free lesson, 7-day free trial as well with Pimsleur.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.